What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today, this is part 2 of the Godbomber review. This is going to go over the transformation for God Ginrai. So we're not going to waste any more time. Let's go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the combination into God Ginrai. God Ginrai is the combination of Godbomber and Super Ginrai. So we're going to go through this. So let's get to it. Oh my word. Oh my word. God Ginrai. Now, the first time that he transformed into this mode, he screamed out Chojin Gattai. Now, Gattai, that's a very interesting. We've heard that before, right? It's this, dude, I don't know if you guys know what this means to me. He looks amazing. I could not ask for a better representation of God Ginrai. Of course, we still have the Headmaster Juniors in there. He is humongous. Now, one thing that I will say is that he is very thick. I mean, look at this mass here. That is probably one of the widest things I've ever seen. So he looks amazing, guys. There's nothing else I can say. This is speechless. I'm speechless how this looks. The kid in me is doing backflips right now. He just looks amazing. And then let's actually take a look here. Let's go down some and let's take a look at his feet. See, so as you see here that he's got his platform shoes. Where have we seen that before? Right? Now, I like how they've done this here because pretty much he's sitting on his platform shoes. And how they did this is quite well done. Now, because of the length and width of those feet, I don't think you're gonna have any problem with God Ginrai standing at all. And his knees are pretty strong on here too, so he doesn't have weak knees at all. So I think that, man, oh man. Like, I'm trying to come up with some words. Now, as far as his hands go, because I guess Godbomber did have a second set of hidden hands in here, which I thought was quite interesting. And I think I would have liked to have articulated hands with this guy. He still has the 3-1 split here, so that hasn't changed at all. So, you know, he does have that with the fingers there, but he looks spectacular. Now, the only drawback that I have with this figure really is his head. That head will not stay put for anything. Now, the thing is, because there's so much going on with him, actually having it up slightly is not that bad. So let's zero in here. Let me look this up and we're gonna zero in here. We're gonna take a look here at what I mean. So as you can see here, you can't really tell, right? Because this piece here is kind of covering it, but this thing is off of the cab. And if you remember in the Super Ginrai review, I made mention that nothing will keep this in there. Now, I have put Ginrai, the cab in there as far as he'll go. There's not really anything else that I can do as far as the headpiece is concerned. There we go, that's probably a better shot of it right there. So as you can see, this is being totally lifted off. It will not go in there at all. And with his height and everything, it's not so bad, especially if you're doing any photography from the bottom. It'll actually look better that way. But looking at it from the, you know, looking at it straight on, I would say that I do have a problem with that. And I think I was hoping that a third party would possibly do I don't know how you could fix that, because to me, I can't get the cab in there any better than that. And the fact that this one still will not stay put, you know, it doesn't bother me in the grand scheme of things, but I think it would be better because that's how it should be right there. And then you just see how that pops up like that. So I don't know. I mean, if I'm looking at some nitpicks here, just going over its detail and everything, I would kind of want the wings to be slightly longer. If you look at this here on the side, these are relatively, you know, they're not that long. So I would actually prefer to maybe to be out here. Now, this is accurate to the television show, so I'm not going to make a big deal of it. And you can extend those wings if you like, but you'd have to unhook this and then re-unhook this and kind of spread them out that way. I think this is the way that it's meant to be there. So you do have that. You do have his little missile thing here. So you do have that as well. The chrome makes this guy pop, but just his design alone is enough for me. Man, I really truly am speechless. I think that, now I know that over the course of the last, 10 to 20 years, we've gotten quite a few God Ginrais in the third party line, but I've always passed up on those because I always wanted an official one. And to me, I don't think it gets any better than this. Now, the thing about being a collector, especially today, is that no matter how great a figure is, there's always going to be another better version, usually down the line. But with this guy, I'm not so sure. Like, to me, his only main weakness is that head, the fact that that head will not stay put. But other than that, I don't have any issues with him. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to some size comparisons. I'm gonna bring out some Brave figures. I'm gonna bring out the Star Convoy, of course, because with as big as this guy is, I'll be interested to see how he stacks up to Star Convoy's height. So we'll do that next. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do some size comparisons. Now, the measurement for God Ginrai all together, when I took out my measuring tape, he was about 13 and like 13 and a half, 13 and a fourth. He's between there from foot to head, okay? But if you include the missile pack and the wings on him, I think he's roughly around like 14 and a half. So he's pretty big. So what we're gonna do first, I'm gonna bring out Mazinkaiser SKL. So as you can see, he is quite short. I would say he's about at God Ginrai's, I would say at his waist. So he's pretty short in comparison. But I just wanted to bring him out real quick. I don't bring him out that often, so. And then next, let's bring out the Good Smile Fighbird. So as you can see, he's pretty short as well. Now, that is not his final form. And we'll find out what his final form looks like shortly. Hint, hint. But that's what you have him next to the Good Smile Fighbird. He's roughly about the same height as Mazinkaiser SKL, so roughly right around his waist area. So if I was gonna put him in front, yeah, he's right at his waist, just about. So, but that's not his final form. So that's what you have for Fighbird. Then next, we've got another Brave figure. So this is God Ginrai next to the final form of Great Takara GX. So he does have his platform shoes on, as you can see, but the difference in quality here is unmatched. Takara has this one beat by a mile. So, because you know this one had weak legs to begin with, but as you can see, if you have them standing in front of each other, he's bigger than Great Takara GX with his platform shoes on. So as I've said before, a lot of the mecha designers from Masterforce and Victory went over to the Brave series. So you're gonna see a lot of the same style as far as like the platform shoes and all of those kind of things there, even though they have more of an animal motif in Brave. So you'll see like a lot of lions and tigers and stuff like that as far as like their face plates and stuff like that. Unlike Transformers, you don't really get that too much outside of like Predaking and some of the other ones. So that's what you have for Great Takara GX. And then lastly, it's only fair to bring out Star Convoy. So as you can see, with them both standing side by side, Star Convoy is still bigger than God Ginrai. So you can kind of see the height difference there. So at 15 or 15 and a quarter or whatever he is, that's a big guy. Now the thing is, the differences in quality as far as the plastic is concerned, because these are both made by Takara as far as I know, but this one way better as far as detail than the Star Convoy. You heard me say that a lot in the Godbomber review, just the difference in plastic quality is just so much better. Now, if we can get Star Convoy in the Masterpiece line, I'm gonna be all over that and I'll pay whatever it costs. But so that's the difference there between God Ginrai and Star Convoy. Let me move him out the way. So as you can see, God Ginrai is a big boy. He is a centerpiece of anything. Now, he will be a centerpiece, especially if you have a Transformers cabinet or whatever. I don't know if he probably would fit in a DTOF, just barely though, if you were going to have him on display. Now, the thing is, will we get the other Godmasters? Because Ginrai is not the only Godmaster in Masterforce. You actually have about 6 of them if I'm including the Decepticons as well. So it'll be interesting to see if we end up getting the other Godmasters in the Masterpiece line or the MPG line. I know that that's supposed to be like a combiner line, I guess, with Masterpiece. At least that's what I heard. I don't know if that's accurate, but so it'll be interesting to see what we do. Now, can you guys at Takara please give me a Victory Leo so I can finish my Victory Saber? Just give me a Victory Leo. Now, if you know the story of Victory, you know that this guy, God Ginrai, once he becomes sentient, I'm spoiling Masterforce for you. Once he becomes sentient at the end of the series, he becomes his own thing. And so he is also in Victory and he gets reformatted into Victory Leo, but I'll get into that if I ever get to Star Saber. But so that's what we have for the size comparisons for God Ginrai. So now let's get into final thoughts. So last thoughts on this guy. I'm blown away as far as his look is concerned. This God Ginrai is amazing. There's not much that I could ask for else in a figure like this. It's just, this is Masterforce come to life. It's so bizarre to me to witness this. Now, I'm not gonna say that he doesn't have limitations. I think once he has Godbomber on him and he's actually in God Ginrai mode, that does limit his articulation, especially in the midsection, quite a bit. The ab crunch that Super Ginrai had, when you have Godbomber on top of that, it's gonna be very difficult. I'm not gonna say that you can't do it at all, but it was very difficult for me to do it without the front piece falling off. I would say that how his head works, I still don't like the attachment part for his head, but I will say that he's so big that now that the head doesn't attach, it actually works in my favor, especially if you're doing photography. If you want that looking down look at like an angle, you can get that now because it's not necessarily secured to the cab of Ginrai. And so you can do some things with that. The fact that it can hold the Headmaster Juniors, if you wanted to you can pretty much have all the weapons on him if you want them. So I was able to put the blasters on the back. I was able to have the missile part still on there. He's even got the guns from Super Ginrai on. He's only got one of them because there's not another hole for a second one. There is, but it wouldn't really make sense where I could put it. So I think that overall, he looks really good. I would say that his hands also, the hands, they're articulated, but to me, they're not articulated enough. I think that he really has a hard time holding any of his weapons, whether it's the missiles or the rifles or even the sword. He has a very hard time, and it's just that connection piece. I don't know if the connection in his hand is too small or it's not wide enough. It just doesn't lock in place, and so it tends to fall off quite a bit. And so that can be very, very annoying. Now, I know that there is a third-party add-on set for Super Ginrai that had more articulated hands or had them in fixed poses. And I think for a guy like this, that's probably what you would want. You would actually kind of want to go with the Gundam style where they have fixed poses for specific weapons and then have articulated hands or semi-articulated hands. I think that would probably work best with this. Will I get the third-party add-on set? I don't know, as more than likely I'm gonna have him in God Ginrai form, not Super Ginrai form. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but I think that that's probably his weakest part outside of his articulation. Now, as far as his legs, him falling over, those platform shoes that he's got on are so big, you're not really going to have any problem with him standing, which is actually quite interesting considering how much weight he's carrying. I think that the ratchets in the knees are strong enough that Super Ginrai had that I haven't had any problems standing him up whatsoever. And I think his platform shoes only help him in that regard. The Chogokin effects are exactly the same problem that I had with some of the other accessories as far as his guns and stuff like that. They're very difficult to pose. They're very difficult to have in his hands. They just don't like to lock in place all that well. But I think this is a very good piece if you are someone who likes another form. It's kind of like Star Convoy in the same sense of that. I won't say that he's obscure because the Super Ginrai did get released in America, but the God Ginrai form has been very difficult to come by in America outside of the original G1 release, and I'm not sure that that was even released in America. I think that was only released in Japan, so you had to import it, and especially with tariffs and all that stuff going on now, you may have to pay quite a bit, but I think that this is a great set. Now, the thing about this set also, I mentioned in the Godbomber review that there's another version of this set that comes with, for Godbomber, it's the MPG-14S, and with that set, you get Godbomber, but you also get some extra stuff with it. You get the base, so he can have like a stand, because you probably want to get this guy airborne as well. Not that he can't stand without a stand. There's not a stand here, but I haven't had any problem with him standing. But if you wanted to get him airborne, you can kind of do a little bit more dynamic posing with him in the air versus on the ground. So it does come with that, and then it does come with, I think it was like the original prototype form of Godbomber, which was slightly different from this guy. Now, the reason why I didn't get that set specifically is because I didn't want to pay extra for just a box. And even though I like it, to me, I don't know. I don't know if those accessories for that gift set is really worth spending almost $100 more for that set just to get that big old box. And so I had a hard time really wanting to pay that much for a box. So, but anyway, I mean, as far as the score, there's not really a score for this, as this is kind of just a add-on for the original review of Godbomber. And so the fact that you can do this with Godbomber and Super Ginrai, this is amazing. I love it. This is definitely a really good piece if you are a fan of Masterforce or you're a fan of alternate versions of Optimus Prime. I think that you would definitely want to, but I think that for this guy, he's an amazing set. If you are a fan of that show and you like an alternate form of Optimus Prime, this is definitely one to get. And to be honest, generally speaking, it wasn't really that expensive. I think I paid $150-ish out of Japan for Godbomber, and I want to say I spent slightly more for Super Ginrai. I think I paid like $200 at the max for Super Ginrai. So a combined form from $350, I've gotten a lot less for that price. So I think this is very, very good. It's definitely a head turner in your collection. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. Send this out to all the Transformer fans. Now, the thing about me reviewing Transformers, some people have asked me, why don't I do it? Generally speaking, I do more Gundam than anything else. But to me, like, I do like Transformers quite a bit. It's just there's so much to collect there that I prefer not to do that because I already don't have space as it is. And to me, without Transformers, there would be no channel. There would not be any stuff on Brave. There would not be any stuff on Gundam because that was my gateway as a kid into the world of anime and transforming mecha and all of that kind of stuff. So without it, it'll always be a piece of the channel, but I don't ever think that it will be a main part of the channel. So for those who don't really like Transformers, don't worry, we will get back to the Gundam reviews shortly. But anyway, so that's what I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.